Hi guys. You guys on chatter? Y'all quiet? Why y'all so damn quiet? Hi guys. So this is
They
this is this
they
is a part of the bonus
delusional.
episode. This is the bonus
They
episode.
delusional over there, man.
yeah,
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 for
yeah.
real.
Yeah, my man Ray's handling it though, guys. This is the bonus episode right here. This is still a part of the bonus episode. Real Ray, everyone. I know Jenny was up here. Let's bring everyone back up. Let's bring everyone back up. That was here. Protagonist was up here as well. You got protagonist. So yeah, guys. Once again, this is once again we look, guys. Raise your hands and come up to the stage. All right, I got Real and Ray, Miss Tyson that, but um, yeah, definitely want this guy keep this conversation. Hopefully, that woman comes back over because I love her energy. I love their energy. So protagonist, the chat is calling you a weirdo. You want to jump in on that, protagonist?
Yeah, Jonathan, I give two shits of what people in the chat say. At the end of the day, it's a lot of contradiction going on, right? The last statement that was the last comment from the previous room that Miss put in there was like, we have to teach our young men how to do conflict resolution. Yet, these are the same people that's sitting here advocating for the situation in which it played out. But when I said that he had the ability to remove himself from the tent, that would have been conflict resolution. So what is it? Do they want conflict resolution or do they not, Jonathan? Because I'm confused at this point. Because they said we need to be teaching men, young men, conflict resolution, yet they all up here, hooraying and hooraying for this situation where a young man literally stabbed somebody and could potentially be facing years in jail. Which one is it, Jonathan?
Do any one
Conflict
of you
It,
ladies want
resolution
to?
or no conflict resolution? I'm confused now.
it should be
Do
conflict
anyone want to?
resolution,
Do
but
anybody want to rebuttal that?
Yeah, I didn't hear the whole thing, so I'm not going. I didn't hear everything the brother said, so I'm not. But let me just say this: I think people, man, are getting lost in the sauce, man, because regardless of when people say, man, was he trespassing? What was the conflict? What was the regardless of that, man, I think the main point is whatever happened, right? In that pushing, shoving, whatever it was, right? I don't see any version of it where it rose to the level that would justify boy killing the dude. And that's going to be no matter how anyone feels, no matter what y'all think, that's going to be the hurdle that he's going to have to jump over if this thing goes to trial. It's not did he have the right, and I think some people just don't understand that, right? It's not whether he had the right to defend himself. Say he was pushed, say he was shoved, say he was slapped, say he was punched in the jaw, right? It's not the issue is not did he have the right to defend himself. The issue is the manner in which he defended himself was deadly force, which was used legally justified. And I
One
don't,
thousand
and I
percent.
think people, and if people can't wrap their minds around that, man, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, because because hey, I don't care what anyone says in Texas, bullying, somebody punching you, somebody slapping you, someone spitting on you, someone calling you some pejorative does not justify you killing them. It might justify you punching them in the mouth, beating their ass, but it does not justify you taking their life. And beyond how I feel, I'm not saying how I feel. I feel if I feel, hey man, let the boy go. The boy is a young boy, made a bad decision. That's my feeling, right? That's how I feel. But man, that ain't got shit to do with the price of tea in China in that courtroom. He's going to have to prove, you know what I'm saying? He's going to if he mounts if it's a self defense strategy. Hey man, you gonna have to show, man, that you were in a reasonable fear of your life, man. And it's gonna be hard to prove that a 5'11", 160-pound boy, you get one of them, young boy or young man, right, who can squat 405 pounds, bench press 205 pounds, right? Clean and jerk 245 pounds, and has a 35-inch vertical, and was busting ass on the football field, was in fear of his life because somebody pushed him. That is that. Come on now.
You know, Biggie, I'm going to do this, guys, real quick. All right, I'm going to play something, and it's Alan Dershowitz, and it's Alan Dershowitz, Marco Mayer, and Chris Como. Now, Alan Dershowitz is the attorney and the he's not just he's the attorney, and he's also the attorney, the Harvard professor, and Marco Mayer is the gentleman that defended George Zimmerman successfully, and they're on Chris Como's show. So I'm gonna play that for you guys really quickly, and then Big E, I want you to respond to that. One moment.
Great point, Big E.
Being held, which was crazy. 1 second. To 250 grand, which is, right. Right. So Anthony was being held on $1 million bond, which was crazy. Today they reduced it to 250 grand, which is, still sizable, but he wound up getting out. All right. So Mark, first of all, the idea of race. I mean, you lived it with Zimmerman in a big way. There's so many people who believe that that's why Zimmerman wound up beating that case. But what do you see here? What are your questions? What will matter? Well, no, it's definitely a consideration. It always is, whether it's a sort of obvious what we're doing or the implicit one, because we all carry these implicit biases with us that perceive or impact how we perceive an event. Now, what's really it's going to come down to, and I disagree with the guy who said this is not a self-defense case. Yes, I think he said it. This is definitely a self-defense case, because it always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor. Was it an aggressive act for him to go up and say, get away from the tent? Did he do more than that? My understanding was maybe he touched him and put hands on him. Granted, that makes the decedent in this case maybe the initial aggressor. But you really still then have to look at whether or not Karmelo Anthony responded with appropriate force, he used a deadly weapon, and whether or not he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury. That's the standard in Texas and most every state, to determine whether or not his actions, the way he perceived him, the way Karmelo Anthony perceived him when he took out that knife and stabbed him. The good part is if the decedent was the aggressor initially. The bad part for Karmelo, if in fact it's true that he sort of said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence that doesn't have a place in a true self-defense case.
Hey,
I
What's the
said
most
that
important
shit,
question for you
Jonathan.
in this, Mark? And then I want the same from you, Professor, if you have one. Go ahead, Mark. Sure. Who truly was the initial aggressor? How did this unfold such that if in fact he had a reason to believe in great bodily injury was imminent, was it reasonable? Was he pushed? Was he shoved? Was he hit? Because don't forget, it's of the moment, but you are allowed to respond to great deadly force with your own great deadly force, or at least your perception of great deadly force. So it's really going to be fact-based. I do think that race, it's going to be played out on social media. It also is going to be played out in a courtroom if you ever get there, because in today's day and age, I would argue that someone like Karmelo Anthony now has a heightened concern over the past few years and the way we've sort of degraded some of the progress we may have thought we made over the past decade as far as how we're treating young black males in the system, such that maybe he would have felt more preyed upon than he otherwise would. Interesting, you're right. We're going to be talking about this for a long time.
So,
Professor, what do you got?
Hello? Oh, I'm
Professor?
sorry.
Yeah, Professor.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. You know, the Bible says to judges and prosecutors, don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race conscious society, and jury selection, which of course your other guest is so brilliant at and did so well in the Zimmerman case, is determine the outcome of this case without a doubt. For me, it's as simple as, how do they feel about this proposition? Bringing a knife to a fist fight. Right. Mark O'Mara, we'll see what happens. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much. Right, so Anthony was being held on a... All right. Okay, so that is what I have for you. That's Mark O'Mara, the attorney for George Zimmerman, who successfully defended George Zimmerman, and it's Alan Dershowitz, the famed attorney and professor, Harvard professor, speaking with Chris Cuomo. So, you know, they're getting information, but that's their take on it, and it sort of aligns with some of the things that you said, Biggie. So,
Yeah, I
Well,
think
Alan Dershowitz was a Jewish pedophile, and he was
so.
friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So that's
I
also
posted
incredibly
in the
important to
chat.
know.
In the chat, I posted a link. It's on huddle.com. Huddle is a is a high school sports. That's his sports profile, right? Which is used to for recruiters, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone is saying that he's 5'9", 130. That's not what it says, right? It says he is 5'11", 160 pounds, squats 405 pounds, bench presses 205 pounds, can clean and jerk 235 pounds, and has a 35-inch vertical, and runs the 40 in a 4.7.
Hey, do you have a
Get what I'm
link to
saying?
that,
And,
Big?
Well,
it's in
doesn't
the
that change the
it's in
narrative?
the chat. It's in the chat. I put it. You might have to scroll up. It's in the chat a little bit. It's up a little bit. It's huddle.com, right? We can dispel all of that. And then also on huddle.com, right? It has his his reels, you know what I'm saying, his highlight reels for he was a cornerback. He was a safety, strong safety, free safety, but he was a safety. And it has his boy was knocking folks, it was knocking folks heads loose on the football field. And so my point is this, right? It's going to be hard, difficult. And I'm not, and all that's not here said, you can go, the link is in the chat. It's going to be difficult for you to walk into a courtroom and say that because of a pushing and shoving match or whatever, you know what I'm saying, went on, even if the dude hit it, right? That this boy was had a reasonable fear of it, was in had a reasonable fear for his life. And I'm gonna tell you this, and it might behoove some of y'all to look up a landmark case in Texas, right? Called Lozano versus the state of Texas. And Lozano, and that was decided in 2021. Lozano was sitting in his truck, right, staring at a group of people, about a six folks. One of the persons in the group thought Lozano was staring at his woman, right? Threw a can of beer through the open passenger window in Lozano's truck, right? Threw it in there, just chucked it at him hard, right? Okay. Lozano uh, got a gun out of his back seat, pointed it at the dude. The dude came around the other side of the truck to the driver's side of the truck, hit Lozano dead in his mouth, punched him out. Lozano shot him. Lozano got convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The Eighth Circuit or whatever Court of Appeals in Texas, right, reversed it. The Criminal Court of Appeals in Texas reaffirmed it and reinstated the sentence. And Lozano is in prison now, serving 25 years. So when you talk about the use of of force and the use of deadly force. See, Texas makes a distinction between those two things. The force has to be proportionate to the threat. You cannot kill somebody for slapping you or punching you, and that be justified under the law. And I think people just really can't wrap their minds around that. Say, man, somebody hit me, put their hands on me, I'ma kill them, and your ass is going to prison. You have to be you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Your life has to be immediately in jeopardy. And serious bodily harm means that someone has to be that the damage inflicted, or that the damage that you are the threat has to be something that's so serious that you can lose your life. And if man,
Hey, Biggie.
that's
Biggie,
it.
it's
That's
Rachel. I have a
go
question
ahead.
for you, Biggie. It's Rachel. How you doing? I have a question for you. Um, how big was Austin Metcalf?
He was 6 feet 225.
Okay. Did the same site where you got the stats for Carmelo Anthony, were there any
Yeah,
stats
yeah.
for Austin?
You can pull the high school up, Memorial High School, Frisco, and all his he has a profile on there too.
Okay. Now, Austin Metcalf had a twin brother who was right there as well. Is that correct?
You said he has a brother that was there.
A twin
Twin brother,
brother.
yeah, but you know, who knows what was going on. That hasn't been
No, no,
established.
no.
But go ahead.
I'm just asking a couple of
We
questions. So,
actually, I actually
the
played the
twin,
clip.
the twin brother, is his size and dimension and weight the same as Austin? Do you know that?
We'll just say he is. I don't know. I'm not sure, but we'll say he is.
Okay. So, you had two. You know how big those Texas guys are. I'm from Texas. Two of them, and you had Carmelo Anthony, and his beef was with one twin, not the other twin, but yet the other twin was there as well.
Great point.
So you don't think that that's a reason to say I'm completely in a situation here? Because one, regardless of what his stats are, I'm sure Austin's stats um, probably read something spectacular as well. But now you have that person that you're going up against, and you have another giant twin that's right there as well. I don't know if Jonathan have time, but Chat played two interviews that the twin gave. And when the twin is speaking, he's speaking that he's there. He tried to spin around to try and get to him as quickly as he could. There was an exchange going back and forth. So it seems to me, based on what two things were played from the interviews that the twin gave, based on what they're saying took place, that he likely was going up against not just one person, two people
So
at that time. So what I'm saying is, in respects to the law that was read earlier this morning in Jonathan's room, one, it talks about who is a provoker, who provoked the situation, and the provoker was clearly Austin Metcalf because he approached Carmelo Anthony. He put his hands on
yeah.
Carmelo Anthony
Oh,
first, right?
okay.
And
Okay.
so and so you do have the right to
Not
stand your
once, but
ground in
twice.
Texas
Not once,
Yeah.
but twice.
twice. You have the right to stand your
Oh,
ground and
yeah, you
defend
do.
yourself. So if you look at the totality of everything, and stuff will come out that is two giants you're up against.
Yeah.
There's wild activity going on. You were the one who was touched first,
So
and with the law that it reads in Texas for standing your ground, that he likely has the ability to get off based on that, and
okay.
that's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
So this is
Just
the thing. This is the thing that
putting all
people.
those things together.
But this is the thing that y'all keep missing. I'm a firearms owner in Texas, right? And one
Okay.
and what I'm saying is this, right? This is the point that I think people keep missing. Yeah, he had the right to stand his ground. There is no legal requirement or legal duty to retreat. But what you are missing is that Texas makes a clear distinction between under the umbrella of self-defense between force and deadly force. The force has to be proportionate to the threat. That's the part y'all are missing. And what I'm saying is, yeah, all things being, just saying that, like how you laid it out, right? He had the right to defend himself, right? He had the right to defend himself. But you're going to go in front of a jury and try to say that this dude had a reasonable, immediate fear of losing his life. Hey, man, that is a high bar in Texas, man. And what I'm saying, I don't think y'all really realize how high that bar is in Texas. Not the use of force in self-defense, the use of deadly force. That is a high bar in Texas, man. And so what I'm saying is this. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna give you this. I'll give you this, right? Just say hypothetically, right? I would say on the defense, based on what we know now, and there's about a 15 to 20% of that walking in court. And so you mean to tell me that you're going to walk your client into court, mount a self-defense strategy, right? That this dude was justified in using deadly force and put that in front of a jury. Now I'm gonna tell you what you run the risk of happening in Texas when the jury is charged. That the jury not even being charged, that self-defense not being included in the jury charge. If that happens, man, that boy is gonna get 30 to 40 years in that court. And so well, listen to what I'm saying to you. You got to weigh that out, man. And so what I'm saying is this, and the other thing is this. So if he gets, say they convict him with to 30 years, right? Just say, I mean, they sentence him to 30 years on a murder, and he's going to serve 15. He has to serve 15 before he comes up for parole. He has to.
So let me ask
Right.
you a
And so
question.
what I'm saying is this. But if they can, I'm gonna land it here. If they can negotiate that down to a manslaughter, 20 years is the maximum on a
That's
manslaughter.
crazy.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. He's eligible for parole in 5, and he is not, and there may even be a chance that they don't send him to prison. But if they mount a self-defense, if they use a self-defense strategy, and that boy gets convicted in court, man, you're not gonna see that boy for the next 15 to 20 years at least.
Okay, so I agree with everything you said. The one thing I think I have a problem with E is this right here. All right, when you talk about deadly force, all right, in Texas, and it's a bit more nuanced than what you're saying because it says deadly force can be used in self defense if you reasonably, okay. That's why police officers always say, "I feared for my life." That's all. That's what they always trained to say. I fear for my life. Okay, if you reasonably, and that's what they stress. That's what the attorney stressed too. It's his state of mind. It's not what your state of mind is. It's what his state of mind was at the time. Believe it's necessary to prevent death, seriously bodily injury, or the commission of certain violent crimes such as aggravated robbery or sexual assault, according to the Texas Criminal Defense Group. So what I'm trying to say is, first, I think one of the things that everyone has been skipping over tonight is before he even goes to trial, he's going to have a stand your ground hearing, okay, to see if the stand your ground law is applied, okay. He's going to know from that stand your ground hearing whether or not what his defense looks like, because if he has a true defense, that stand your ground hearing, it's over. He doesn't have to go any further. Okay. Here's the thing. I don't think you got to listen to more and more evidence is starting to come out. As more and more evidence starting to come, because I said the same thing you did, 100%. For 3 days, I was like, the boy cooked. He's toast. Stick a fork in him. He's done. But when more and more evidence come out, the thing I want you to think about is this right here. Um, when those kids said we didn't think he had a weapon, we didn't think he had anything. Okay, it was more than one person surrounding him. All right, when that boy, when they got into the exchange, and you got to listen to those interviews. I guess they can go over the interviews with you because I'm tired as hell.
No, I've
But
listened to. I've listened to him, and but I don't think. I don't think. Let me. I don't think y'all realize.
land with this.
The
Let
point
me land
is,
with this. E. Hold on, let me
go
land with
go
this.
ahead. Go ahead. I could go ahead.
Then you can go. Okay, so what I'm saying is, those boys, that boy, because that dude Austin said shit to him, like threatened him. Obviously, you could tell it was a threat. And that boy said, "Push me and see what happens." Okay, in the police report, Austin went over and tried to push the boy out of the tent, pushed him. That was assault. He assaulted him, and the boy didn't respond. Okay, and then they got into another verbal exchange. I don't know if you're working with this information. And then Austin said, "Punch me," and see what happened. So obviously the boy said he's gonna come over and punch and knock him out, do whatever. Okay, and then when Austin came over there, he started fiddling around in his bag, and he grabbed a knife out of his bag. He didn't just stab him. Austin grabbed him up. Now Austin already followed through on his threat to push him. Now he grabbed him up, physically accosted him again. Okay. Now the boy, it's reasonable to assume that the boy felt like Austin was going to follow through on his threat to punch him. Okay. Now they're on bleachers, wet bleachers. It's outside, raining. Okay. If he hits him, he could fall down. Those the bleachers hit his head, whatever.
They
He
were
could
at the bottom. They were at the bottom, man. They were at the bottom of the
They
bleachers.
weren't at the very bottom.
They were
The
at the
the
bottom.
the tent had moved down. If you notice where their bags are, they're about 7 or 8 rows up.
And I don't think y'all realize how high the bar is for deadly force in Texas. Y'all really don't realize that, man. I don't think y'all are not, man. Hey, man, when you take a LTC class in Texas, man, hey, they emphasize that. They emphasize that over and over again. You guys do
1000%.
not realize how high that bar is, man. It is not when they say reasonable fear, the reasonable fear, it can be in your mind, but it's judged against what would a reasonable person do in the same circumstance, right? That's the part you missing, right? Man, the use of deadly force in Texas. The issue is not whether he had a right to defend himself. The issue is not whether he had a right to stand his ground. Those are not the issues. The issue is if he was justified in not using force, but in using deadly force. That's the issue. That is the issue. That is the hurdle that is going to be very difficult to jump over. That is a high bar in Texas. I'm
On,
telling
on
you.
on top of that, Big E, on top of that, the part that I think people want to listen, I said this earlier, and then that Chris Cuomo interview that Jonathan played, they said the same thing. It's kind of hard to say that you have reasonable fear for your life when you are literally telling somebody, push me and see what happens. Punch me and see what happens. Like when you make those statements right there, man, that's gonna be pivotal in court, especially for someone that's trying to claim self-defense. Self-defense, you was in fear of your life, but you literally, invoking someone to,
You
to
just
to
you
put
just
hands
you
on
just
you.
stood there.
Yeah,
Yeah, you feel me? Come on,
that shit
man.
is
And you know
crazy.
what? You know what's killing me is y'all don't even have the full story, right? Like there's clearly got to be some missing dialogue in there, and y'all are already like the way y'all are speaking. It's as if like whatever we barely got a portion of the evidence, and y'all are speaking as though like this is everything that we know, and this is how he's gonna be convicted. Like, and he's
Yeah, they have
guilty.
definitive statements. It's kind of silly. Yeah, without all
It's
the
just
Well,
evidence.
crazy. Like
we're
you
having a
can
Well,
get
the
away with
discussion
other, but
bullshit.
the
based on
other
what we
thing
know
though
now.
is no, because what we don't see and what everyone keeps stopping short of is what did Austin say? So was Austin mute the entire time? Did he antagonize the situation? Who approached who first?
It doesn't
Now,
matter.
according
It
to
does.
the brother, one second. According to the brother, they came at Carmelo first. They did. So you want to talk about fearing for your life? You have two people now against one. Plus, you on the other side of that is Carmelo put himself or I would ask, did Carmelo put himself in harm's way by sitting under that tent, which wasn't his team's tent? They're gonna have to unpack that, right? Which they're gonna have to talk about track culture and how all that works, right? And then like what gets me is you talking to or Big E is talking about proving deadly force. We also don't know the posture. We don't know if Carmelo was leaning back while if he was pushed down, if you have to also consider the height difference. So and you have to prove intent that his intent was to murder, was to kill.
No, you don't.
Right? He on yes, yes, You
Read, read,
do.
read, read the
You
law.
have to no. If we're
Okay.
talking about, I mean, you got to get it off. I would like to
On
have
first
to be
degree,
able
you
to do
got to
the
prove
same,
intent.
huh?
First degree, you do have to prove
It's
intent.
not. No,
Yeah, you have to
listen, what
prove
I'm
it's
listen.
it's third degree, but you have to prove intent. And you keep saying the bar is high,
For the
There
use
is
of
a
right?
deadly
third degree
Because
force.
the
exception.
bar is high, you do have to prove
No,
intent.
no, you miss. You
This is
missing.
literally what you
But
said.
you're missing.
And
There
But
is
so,
some third
you're
degree or first
conflating.
degree.
You're
okay, well,
conflating things.
y'all
Be
got it.
innocent.
You're
That's all
conflating.
right. Y'all got it.
But you're conflating
So I
like
think the
different things.
commentary, I
You
think the
don't.
commentary that happened between Carmelo and whatever resource officer had gotten to him first after it happened speaks to the intent. He was crying hysterically. He was asking if he was okay, if he was going to be okay. Like if you intended to kill someone, you're not asking those questions. Maybe you're not even crying.
So,
Exactly.
but this is the
Well, that's
point.
not true. If I could, Biggie, quickly. In Texas, there's no first degree, second degree, third degree
That
murder.
part.
I did learn that from Big
It's
E.
a third degree felony.
Well, hold on. That may be the case, but in Texas, what we're looking at is murder, capital murder, manslaughter, or a murder by malice intent. You're right when you say that their intent does have to be established in a court of law. That's called mens rea. That means the criminal mind. That's like premeditated. I'm telling you guys, this case does not fit murder in Texas. Now, what it does fit.
So
Uh,
so one thing you have to do when you read the murder statute, right? I
Finish
think
your
it's not.
sentence. Can he
I
finish his
think
Hold
I
on,
thought
sentence?
he was
let him
Allow
done.
him to
finish
finish.
now.
Big E, can he finish?
Yeah, I thought he was done. Did you
Yeah,
land?
can he
No.
almost,
finish? We
almost.
want to hear what
Okay,
he said.
go ahead,
Let
Keith.
him finish. Let
My
him finish.
bad. Okay, yeah, okay. My fault, brother.
All good. And by the way, I did
I'm
read the
sister.
murder statute because when we talked about this like 4 or 5 days ago, and you brought this up to everyone's attention, whatever room we're in, I fucking researched the statutes and I read them thoroughly. And I don't have a law degree, but I did go to law school for a year and a half. So with that being said, not that it makes me an expert, but it's very clear as to like what the law is. And a murder charge, that 30 years you talked about, it's not possible. It's not going to happen with Carmelo. I guarantee it. What he's looking at, worst case scenario, is manslaughter, and it's going to be very fucking hard to use this stand your ground defense, which it's possible, but it's going to be very hard for that defense to work in this particular case.
So if you when you read the whole statute, 19.02 is the statute. You know what I mean? When you read murder, there's adequate cause, there's two is sudden passion. Now check this out. Now you have to define how those you have to know how those things are defined in case law in Texas. Then when you read, right, a person commits the offense of murder if he intends to cause serious bodily injury and commits an act clearly dangerous to human life that causes the death of an individual. You don't have to intend to kill someone in Texas. You it's going to be hard based on what we know, right? That pulling out a knife, right? That you didn't intend to cause serious bodily injury, especially when you say, "Hey, man, touch me and see what happens." That is the act, and then the act that's clearly dangerous to human life is pulling out that knife. And so, and so, what happened subsequent to that is somebody was killed, man. That's murder in Texas. You don't have to say, man, you don't have to, they don't have to prove that you intended to kill the person for you to get a murder charge in Texas and for you to get a murder conviction in Texas. Now, I'll say this, it depends on the facts of the case. But based on what we know now, I'm talking because what we know now is what's in the police report. That's what we know.
I got a
Right?
quick question.
And so what I'm saying is, and those aren't all the facts, you know what I'm saying, of course. But based on what we know now, yeah, that he has a murder charge on him. And the thing is this, right? What's going to be telling is what happens when when this case goes in front of the grand jury. If the grand jury, right, passes a true bill on the murder charge, man, hey man, I would say, hey man, that his defense is probably gonna start looking for a plea. Because the thing is this, man. Hell, I mean, shit, man.
Well,
Legally,
Can we talk
based on
I
about
what
the
got a
we
first
know
quick
part
now,
question.
man,
before
I got a
we
quick
go
so
question.
there though? Can we
Else talk.
discuss the first part
what's
that
the
you
first
said?
part? Oh,
Um
let me tell you this too,
okay.
right? A threat in Texas, it doesn't matter what those boys said. A threat in Texas is not a justifiable, is not a cause for justifiable deadly force. A threat, a verbal threat, no,
Followed by an assault
I,
twice
I
after
got a
the
no,
quick
it has
question.
defense.
I got a
y'all
quick
don't,
question.
y'all
I'm
don't,
Quick
saying, but
question.
y'all,
don't
y'all
stop
missing it,
short
man.
of a threat. Like say everything. He verbally threatened him. He assaulted him. Reached for like you can't just. I
But
get
the
it where you're
assault
going,
has
but
to reach a
at least throw
certain
out a yeah.
level.
I got a quick question. According to the reports or whatever, once my man said, "Touch me and see what happened," what exactly happened after that?
He touched him
I mean,
twice.
was it a
Twice.
touch? Was it a touch? Was
Oh
it a
The
no.
first
shove? Was it a
time, so
choke?
this is why I say the police report is flawed. If you look at, I'm not saying they lied, but it gives way more specifics for Carmelo than it does for Austin. So the police report says the first time he touched him, then the second time he pushed him. That very vague. The police report also did not say that they had an exchange of words, even though that's what the brother said. So there was an exchange of words, but we still don't know what Austin said. And you have
And
to take that into consideration before you even decide intent. We don't know. Hunter could have said something, or I'm sorry, Austin could have said something that would have made Carmelo feel that his life was in danger. Because all we know is that he said, touch me, dot, 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 and push me, dot, dot, dot.
There's no
no,
But
no,
dot
punch
we
me.
dot.
don't
He
hear
said,
Punch
the
me and
"Push me and
see.
find out. Touch me and find
That's
out."
that
No
that's
dot
No,
fine.
he
dot
I
said
dot.
didn't
punch
know
me.
I
He
didn't
said
know
punch
one
me.
verbatim.
person's account. That
Excuse
is
me.
not true.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't know verbatim, so that's why I said dot dot dot. Chill out. It's not that serious.
But chat, we've been saying it
Um,
verbatim all
That
day on
too.
this stage.
That's fine. I said I didn't know. I don't care what you said. I didn't know. I appreciate that though. Appreciate that. So you can fill that blank in for me because I didn't know. But
well, typically,
regardless, he still said those two things, and we don't know what Austin's verbal response was. And that is major because we know that he was warned on two times, and it escalated each time. It went from a touch to a push, and we also don't know what words were said. And the fact that the brother will not talk about it. In both interviews, he would not go into detail, neither did the police report, neither did the other witness statements even address what Austin said. So either he was a mute or they are saying something or they're hiding something. The other part, and I'll land here, is when in that interview when the brother started talking about what happened, the mother, and I showed it to Jonathan, the mother stopped crying, and you can see her kind of tense up. And if you know anything about body language, for some of y'all know that I was an interrogator in the military. You know anything about body language, she becomes very protective about what was said, what was going to be said from the brother. Her tears stopped. Her face was not flush anymore, and her body was tight. So you got to factor in what wasn't said as well,
but
and I'll leave
but
that there for now.
and that was a
So,
great
so
submission.
chat,
But
I
you know,
got a
the
question for
jury
you.
will
Here's my question for
consider
you,
all
chat.
these facts, right?
What
Quick
what
rebuttal.
could have
What's up, friend?
Austin said, and what could have Austin said, in your opinion, that would justify him being murdered? What we don't know what he said, but I'm saying what could he have said that you would say, oh yeah, he said that. That's why.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
I'm gonna kill you.
That ain't enough, man.
It's
And
not
that's
about
the
what he
point
said.
I'm trying to make, Big E. It doesn't matter what he said.
It matters.
It doesn't matter what he said.
Matters
Words
what he
is not a
did.
reason for you to take somebody's
That's
life.
not
It
true.
matters what
This
he
is
But if
matters
that's in
did
combination
though.
with
him
physical
saying
force,
Yeah, but the
anything.
physical.
I'm
We
telling
keep
you,
repeating this.
it's
If
not
you're
just the
saying
words.
Hold on,
anything,
guys. I think chatter is a little low. Who's on chatter? Can you say that again?
No, this is Miki. This is
Oh,
silly.
Mickey, your mic was low, babe. But I
Oh,
hear
I
you
have
now.
my volume down. Keep the going back and forth down. This is Texas. A threat does not even have to be physical. What is going on? Do we need to review what the definition of a threat is? A threat can be verbal, it can be menacing. It does not have to be physical. Again, this is Texas where Joe Horn got off because he was on the phone with 911 and saw people breaking into his neighbor's home. He killed them outside of his neighbor's home and he got off. This is Texas. This is not your states. Our stand your ground laws are more stringent than Florida. He did not have to physically do anything for Carmelo to say that he felt a threat. I don't know why I have to keep repeating this.
Isn't the
You guys
threshold
keep saying
imminent?
That's
your
not.
Imminent
She
threat?
perspective.
doesn't. She doesn't understand the law because
Isn't
someone
it
Not at
in
imminent
all.
their
threat?
Well, I'm
habitation
in Texas and you're
is
not.
I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas. I've been in Texas since I was in
That a
ninth
threat
grade, and I'm
only has to
52,
be
sister.
Oh
physical?
my God.
Allow
Why?
her to finish.
So
Please.
the fact that you only think that a threat has to be physical when the law basically says
No, it's
Castle Dog
imminent
for
threat.
also
Imminent
that
threat. Imminent.
someone can put what an imminent threat based upon my perspective, not yours.
Yeah, but the
If
force
this is
has
the
to be
case, then this
proportionate.
are people
No,
who
it's not
stalk
And you
people.
have
The
to
your.
the
prove
force was
intent.
when
No, it's
Austin
not
grabbed his
your
hairline.
Y'all,
perspective. It's
one
a
second.
reasonable
Let's let
perspective.
let's let Mickey land first.
No, it is my perspective because when I am acting in that regard, I am not a court case, respectfully, sirs. I am acting in my defense, right? This is not a court case when you were shooting someone because that's called premeditation if you're thinking about how it's going to appear in court, just FYI. Which is why the law says, if we read what the law says, number one, stand your ground means that you do not have to stand down. That is made very clear. You do not have to de escalate if you are the one that feels threatened. It literally says, stand your ground, meaning that you have the right to defend yourself. You may not like the manner in which it happened, but what you cannot deny is that this young man was 100 pounds overpowered by one of the twins. It was raining hard. One of the witnesses even said, all you have to do is look at the police report versus conjecture. Austin stood up to remove him from the tent. They're on the eighth or the ninth row of the bleachers and it's pouring down raining. Now, if you think that this was going to be a friendly removal, first of all, you guys keep saying he killed him. You have zero proof that he intended to murder this young man. None. This was a good kid. He
Still
has no
killed him.
priors. He is not from the hood. He is from an upper class, upper middle
Same
income
thing can be
family
said about
in a
Austin.
good neighborhood.
I mean,
You
man,
have zero proof that he knew what he was doing, that when he stabbed him, that he knew where that it was going to murder him. But what the boy's father told us is that they were well affiliated and trained with jujitsu.
so
Can
this
I
the
can I say
yeah.
Now
something?
you
So,
have two
so I
twins
have a question.
who are well informed with
You can ask
jujitsu
your question when she's done.
Thank you.
going after a kid, right, who was simply an athlete, and you keep forgetting that the boys had zero authority to request that he leave the tent. It was a school tent at a district event with 9 schools and over 100 students. The brother also, when he was giving the interview, and I don't know why he gave that interview because it did not help his brother's case whatsoever, said we had to be careful about who is in those tents because people have their private belongings and sometimes things get stolen. So there was the intent for even approaching Carmelo in the first place versus Carmelo just sitting his little happy self there talking with one of the people who literally told the police, he is my friend. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so
Who
let
was
me let me let
You
me
Carmelo?
tell
saying
you.
Jesus Christ?
This
You ain't
is
say
a
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like
Let
you
me let me
still
let me
didn't.
tell you what
Y'all,
the
it
And
was
let me
Big
on
E,
tell
let
you
me
what.
ask
Samoa.
this quick
Samoa had
question.
a question, guys, and then Trish and then Biggie. You got it.
So at the point, if we were to believe like the events, so then he's asked the question, "Hey, leave, whatever," right? And then he responds by saying, by putting his hand in the bag and then saying, "Put your hands on me, and you'll see what happens." All right. So he's drawing a line of where he feels imminent danger is right here, right? So then that line's crossed. He doesn't react. Then he actually escalates to a higher threshold, a more extreme example of what imminent danger would be on how he defines it by using the term punch. That wasn't crossed though, right? Like that line that he set for himself wasn't crossed. So do you think that that'd be a problem?
So, first of
Because
all, there are two witness statements. I've literally read this entire police report about 10 times just today. There is clarification that one of the witness statements indicated that hands were put on Carmelo, which is why in one of the statements, as one of the witnesses said, he said again. You guys keep leaving that out. He didn't just randomly say, "Don't push me, bro, or you're going to see what's going to happen." In one of those witness statements, he said, "Don't hit me again." Again, meaning that the hits had already occurred. They
hold
were
on,
arguing.
you
The
said what?
But did
What
they?
said that he got hit again?
Yes,
Where
that's
did you
what
see
I'm
that at?
saying. Look at the police reports. Can you read and
Hold on.
comprehend? You're conjecturing. All we have to go on
No,
is
I
the
think you're
police report.
parsing. So
Sir,
did hold on? Did
there
you
were
disagree with
three
what I
different
said?
there were three different witness statements given. Yes, because you keep leaving out pertinent information.
No,
In
I'm
one of the
asking you
witness
about
statements,
the
they
threshold
clearly
of imminent
say
danger.
he said again. And then one of the
No,
witnesses
no,
said
this is a
Austin
straw
stood
man.
up to remove him from the tent.
That's
So
what
are you
she's
gonna
good
answer
at,
my
Samoa.
question?
That woman doesn't even know
But
the
didn't
law,
the
man.
twin brother
No,
come out
that's
and
a straw
say
man. I'm asking if she's
that?
gonna
I'm
address my
familiar with
question.
the law.
But didn't the twin brother come out and say that they approached the tent? He was sitting there. Austin told him, you need to move. He said, like it was. I guess it was some words that exchanged, and I guess he was like, "Make me move." And I guess Austin went towards his backpack, grabbed his backpack, and I think isn't that considered robbery at that point?
I
Oh,
don't
you
even think
reaching.
Well, they
No,
reaching hard, man.
No, I'm
The
just
fact the
asking.
fact that he
I'm
said
just
make me move, he was playing tough guy. Like if you
so
want to
so
quote what he said, make me move, he playing tough guy.
so listen to this.
Pulling
Make
There's a
what
open
me
somebody's
move.
backpack is
Make
definitely
him sit
robbery.
down.
there's a law firm in Fort Worth, right? And they have and this dude Varghese in Somerset, man, they laid out not based on this case, but just in general misconceptions about the castle doctrine, right? Misconception one, standing your yeah, they don't want to hear that.
y'all wrong.
y'all some
No, go
yeah.
ahead. Go
So
ahead,
this
Big
is what
E.
it is.
Yeah,
Misconceptions,
what was the
misconception.
government's attorney who actually
These are
cited
attorneys that wrote
law?
this. You can check it out.
Yeah,
Misconception one about the castle
One mic.
doctrine. Standing
yeah.
your ground means you
The
can
Georgia
use
government's attorney
standing
who
your
wrote
ground
this.
means you can use deadly force and you don't have to back down during an argument. Generally, you can use force to the degree a person reasonably believes such force is immediately necessary to protect against another person's use of attempted use of unlawful force. In other words, if someone is about to hit you, you are allowed to defend yourself with your hands. But don't expect the law to protect you if you are bringing a gun to a fist fight. Generally speaking, you can defend yourself with the same level of force that is being used against you. Using deadly force, however, has additional requirements. You would have to show that you used force to protect against the other person's use of unlawful deadly force to prevent the crime or whatever, right? So second misconception is you can shoot someone for getting in your face. Verbal provocation alone is never a justification for the use of deadly force. It does not matter what the other person is saying. If you respond with anything from a fist to a firearm, you're going to be charged with a criminal offense. Misconception three. Misconception three. Now listen to this. You can set the conditions that allow you to use deadly force. If a gunman says, if you come within 3 feet of me, I'm going to kill you, and then the other party violates the condition, it still does not give the gunman the legal authority to shoot. Man, argue with the lawyers, man.
Can I
So
ask a
that's
question?
you basically
Well,
read
too
what you
bad
had
you didn't
already
defend
said.
Joe Horn,
And the problem with
because
what's
Joe
going on
Horn.
with you, Biggie, is you're not listening to the other perspective. So you just retorted the same thing you said. You just said it from a different angle. You
That
said
I
attorney
read what the
said it this.
lawyer
Oh,
said.
hold on, let me finish. You keep interrupting, and that's the thing. You can't listen. If
Yeah,
listen got the
I'm gonna
same
listen to you
word
like this,
letters
sister.
as silent. To listen, you have to actually mute up and hear the other person. What you're saying, repeating the same thing, but you're not. You're negating the points that other people are making, and which is it's getting us nowhere. It's like you won't listen. We're saying we get what you're saying. Yeah, we get that part. You're not speaking to the things that people are retorting against that, which is this isn't a one-on-one thing. So you reading the same thing over again did nothing because it's not a one-on-one. Somebody is
It did
saying
nothing to
something to
people who
you,
don't
and
understand
somebody,
law.
hold on, I'm not finished. You can respond when I finish. This
Now,
person,
please don't cut people off.
yeah, it's so hard they can't hold themselves. But she came back to you and said it's a different scenario than what you're saying because it's not a scenario where it's one person to one person and you bringing a knife to a or a gun to a fist fight. This is a scenario when it may be multiple people that's involved with one person. So that reading from the attorney saying the same thing you said, it don't address anything that she was talking about. So that's not it's
Man,
different
y'all
if it's a
tripping.
one-on-one
This is
versus if it's a
sad. Grown
mob
ass
thing. If
adults.
it's a
This is
mob
sad.
thing and I feel threatened, that's totally different. That now you may have the right to use something because you don't feel like you against multiple people. I can't fight two or three other people and survive.
And that's my question right there
It's
with what
like,
she
come
just said.
on,
Hey,
listen.
hey, I just want us to go right off what you just said and just ask this question and see if it kind of changes the scenario. Let's hypothetically say, because I don't know and nobody knows until these testimonies go to court. But if that what she just said, let's say it was those two brothers. I ain't looking at nobody else. I'm saying let's say those two brothers were jumping him. Does that still, when he pulled out that knife and stabbed him, defending himself, would that be standing your ground?
So I think so, and I'll just highlight because I'm not condoning the murder. I think it's horrible. I will say whether it was two people or five people, if that initial stab had not been in the chest, let's say it had been in the arm or the stomach, and it wasn't like fatal, absolutely that would have made everybody else back the fuck up and go get an adult because nobody else would want to get stabbed. I think the issue here is the location of the stab and the fact that this 17-year-old is dead. And it's fucked up and it's horrible. But every action leads to a reaction. And I just don't want us to get caught up in blaming the victim because he is a victim. They're both victims.
Right, but
But
the
that,
case
but
of
that's, but this is
Karmelo
why intent
is that Joe
matters.
Horn. You guys
This
can't
is
get
one. This is why. In one second.
Can y'all hear me speaking?
Um,
So
can you
Joe
hear me?
Horn,
Can you hear me?
yes, but I started speaking earlier.
No, you didn't. There's a delay, so let's not forget that. There. You have to consider intent, right? You just do. The law states that a person commits an offense. This is murder in Penal Code Section 19.02. A person commits an offense if the person, number one, intentionally or knowingly causes the death of an individual. One of it, with the security guard or the officer that was on the scene, said that he was crying and he asked if he was okay, if Austin was okay. The other thing is he only stabbed him once. Typically, in your crimes with knives, they are stabbed multiple times unless it's a slit across the throat. But typically, especially if their person is bigger than you, it's going to take more than one, uh, you know, stab to kill someone, unless it's where he stabbed him. So they would have to prove that he intentionally tried to kill him with that one stabbing, with him being his skin and his organs being punctured one time. That was his intent. Also, his immediate response in crisis. His immediate response was, "Is he?" One of them was, "Is he okay?" And then the other one, they said that he was crying hysterically, and he said he had to defend himself. So that boy or that young man had felt like he had to defend himself, and his response immediately after really shows his intent in my opinion. Go ahead, Mickey.
Can I go after her?
No, the only point that I wanted to make is that what the law states for stand your ground, which is also part of the Castle Doctrine in Texas, is that Carmelo did not have to retreat. He was not the instigator, he was not the aggressor. I love how everyone is responding or addressing how he responded. However, he did not initiate anything. The circumstances would be completely different had he initiated this altercation. Because I want to remind everyone what assault is legally, it's just a touch. It does not have to be a punch. It does not have to be um, someone hitting you or shoving you, right? That's just your metric for how you would respond. Although I'm side eyeing quite a few of you based on how you react on Clubhouse, I seriously doubt that you would have let someone threatening and menacing get in front of you and tell you what to do versus the 17-year-old kid who, in all likelihood, was just trying to find a place from the rain. As everyone has said, it was pouring down raining during a track meet, sitting on the bleachers, right? So, like I said, look at the case of Joe Horn in Texas, who was an older man, literally in his house, completely fine, not threatened whatsoever. His neighbor's home was being broken into. He killed the people that were breaking into his neighbor's home. And what did the Texas law say? He was completely within his rights of defense, even though, number one, there was no imminent threat. Number two, he used a gun. His life was not in danger. In fact, he went outside of his home to confront the danger. And what does Texas law say? Go home, Mr. Horn. You're fine. Thank you for being a good citizen. So please don't listen to people who will tell you this bullshit about what the Texas law says. I need you to read it's Joehorn, and it was a very controversial case because the two young men that were murdered were melanated, and the same arguments were given, except Texas law says, right, that threat, let's loosely say what imminent is. Is it I'm sitting in my house and I see someone breaking into my neighbor's house across the street? Apparently so. That is also defined as an imminent threat. So let's look at the facts of the case here that we know. Carmelo was sitting down. Austin approached him. You do not belong here. You need to move. Issue number one, he legally had a right to be there. These individuals, this tent did not belong to them. It was a district event with 9 schools and 100 students. He was a participant that day. He was an athlete. He had a right to be there. No adults had told him to move. No coaches had told him to move, except 2 students did. And then they went back and forth, as the witness testimony stated. And there was some shoving and some pushing. And there were some threats made. Touch me again, and you'll see what happens. Punch me again, you'll see what happens.
I don't see the
We saw
again.
what happened. We
I
saw
don't
what
see the
happened.
again in any of these affidavits.
Well,
Like, where's the
you need
again?
to read the entire thing. It's 7 pages, sweetie. Okay,
Yeah,
we've read it.
I just put
We've
the
read
link
it
in the
aloud
chat.
like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
put the link in the chat.
Google is free. So here's
Yeah.
here's what we do know happened, right? The threat didn't even have to be physical, which is why we're focusing on the pushing and the shoving. It doesn't even have to be physical. Number one, a threat is a threat, whether it's verbal or physical, right? You can have a written threat. You can literally send a letter to my home saying, or send me a back channel saying, hey, girl, I'm going to kill your ass when I see you. Guess what? You've just made a threat. It was not verbal nor physical, it was written. So I feel like we need to define basic terms that second graders know, at least the second graders around me. So, what we do know is that a weapon was produced You keep saying he brought a gun, da 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 da. He brought a knife, da 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 da. You don't even know what kind of knife it was. It could have been a switchblade. The rules for schools are different than for district events. We don't even know what kind of weapon, how long the blade was, none of that. What we do know is that he pulled something from his backpack after he warned them, actually, de escalate or I will escalate it, also covering himself under the law. He warned them, leave me alone, several times, in fact. No one's negating that. And then guess what? He defended himself and the child died. You have zero proof that this young man was zero priors, a good kid with a 3.7 GPA, intended to kill him. Yet that is the basis for most of your arguments. Please familiarize yourself with Texas law, or from a Louisiana baby and now a Texas baby, stay in California. Don't come out here.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think the
Do not
problem is
come
that you won't
across.
even address it. So they're saying that if you look at the thresholds that he lays for himself, first threshold, touch me, and you'll see what happens. Not again, but you'll see what happens while placing his hand inside of his bag, concealing the actual weapon. So him himself has described what he believes is imminent danger at this very moment. This is the threshold. It's crossed, he doesn't react. So his actions speak louder than words, right? Then he changes it. Now, if he would have said the exact same thing, you'd be right. It was a warning. But he actually escalates it to something a little bit more significant, something that he feels is justified. It's a punch. I think we could all agree that a punch is more significant than just a touch. So this is the new line that he's already defined as being what his line is, which is imminent danger, right? You said your perspective. Well, this is his perspective from all the witnesses saying that this is where he draws the line. Was that line never crossed?
The line was
So
crossed when Austin Metcalf first approached him.
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know
no,
why
no. The
you're
line
trying
that
to
he
make it.
drew, he drew a line. Was that line crossed?
Who drew a line?
Yes, the moment Austin reached for his bag, that escalated it more, which made his
grabbed his
protection
bag. He
No,
did
I'm
more
talking
right,
than
about
reach for
Carmelo.
it.
which
He
made
grabbed it.
right.
No, I'm talking about Carmelo has drawn
Samoa,
a line.
Samoa, do you know
And
if a fist was cocked at Carmelo though? So
wait,
what
wait,
reacts? What provokes somebody to say, "Punch me and
well,
see
if
what
we could,
happens"?
yeah. So
We
if we
don't
could
know
just
that.
focus on, yeah, if we could just focus on him describing where his line is. We don't have to
But
speculate, right? Like he says it himself. This is
yeah,
the
but you don't know
line.
what was said in between that or
Just,
But
before
you,
that.
just
we
hold on.
do have
Hold
to
on. Just hold on.
speculate because we don't know what Austin said.
No, wait. No, wait. Hold on. So we know that Carmelo is going to describe what his line is. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. He defines this for what he defines it
He's
for.
not
It's his
defining it. You don't
perspective,
know what
his
happened
line.
before he made that statement.
It doesn't matter. He drew a line.
All right, dude.
If you say you cross this line, it justifies my reaction, and I never cross it, but you react with deadly force anyways, how could you possibly be justified?
But he crossed it
No, he didn't.
bruh.
You
This is
don't know.
crazy.
He crossed the
You
first one.
don't know. One, we don't know what Hunter said in between. We know that he touched him twice.
No, no, you're
We
not
know
listening.
that. Do we not know that?
His brother
No,
even
no,
It's
no, no.
oh,
said that
well, one second, y'all. Come on, man. Did he touch him twice?
Yeah, we know that there's a touch and there's a punch, right? And these
Right.
things are
So he
different.
touched his body twice. He made contact with his body twice, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know what Austin said?
No, I don't know why that's relevant.
Because you have action and you have words. You want to know why you don't know why it's relevant? Because you just brought it up. You
No, no,
said
what's
that he
relevant is
did
it's
no,
an
no, no,
action.
no, no, no. You talked about what Carmelo said. You said that he told him two times, gave him instructions verbally. So now words don't matter. Which
No,
one is it?
I said he drew a
Do words matter or do
distinction.
they not?
No, you're playing with words. He drew a
No, we don't have
distinction of
words.
where, hold on, he drew a distinction, Carmelo did, of what his imminent lines were. First it was touch, and then he redrew a different line, and then it was punch. Do you agree with that?
And both lines
And
got crossed.
right.
No,
And
no.
so
Show me where
no.
he was attempted to be punched.
You-
Brother,
Oh my God.
have you read the report? What are you
Yes,
talking
Okay,
about?
the
well
word punch.
read that part in the report that you're
Yes,
referring to so we can see what you see.
yeah. So the part where after he's touched, he says, "Punch me, and you'll see what happens."
And then he
Right.
got
Right. So the witness says, so this is pointing out exactly where his imminent line is. He says, "Punch me, and you'll see what happens." Then the witnesses said that there was some shoving, and then he struck him with a knife, one blow, and then took off. Right. And once he took off, threw the knife, got caught by the resource officer. You
Samoa,
can
there
read
was
the
some
affidavit
shoving
of the
on
encounter.
whose end. It was a shove. It was a shoving match.
All right. So there's a difference between the term shove and punch. Do you agree?
Okay, no, no. Answer the question. Was it a back and forth altercation, physical alter? Was it back and forth, or was it Austin physically assaulting Carmelo?
So that doesn't even make any sense.
he
If it's
grabbed
back
his
and
backpack. That's
He
what
he
happened.
so if
he
it's back and
assaulted
forth,
Carmelo.
He
He
assaulted
made
Carmelo. It doesn't
uh,
contact.
matter.
He made
okay,
physical contact with Carmelo
yeah, but he didn't react the
twice.
first time, right? He
He
didn't
What
made
stab
is
him the
that?
first time.
physical contact twice. That is a fact.
No, hold on, but after the first time, because he didn't strike, he didn't take this as imminent, right?
We
He didn't
don't
strike him.
know. That's what they have to prove in the court of law because
No, he didn't
again,
strike him.
you just
We know
he
that.
made contact with him twice and he initiated the encounter.
No, you're trying to. All right, so can we at
Yeah,
least
that's
Did he
agree?
not
that's
initiate the
together.
encounter?
Well, now you're running somewhere else. Can we agree
No,
after
no,
he got
no.
touched, he didn't strike him?
Did he not initiate the encounter?
That's some no. So I would say no.
So he didn't tell Carmelo that he was in the wrong place and to leave.
Yeah, no. My perspective is by him reaching in the bag and telling him, "Touch me, and you'll see what happens." I think this is an escalation here. This is a This is a
Okay,
provocation
so
here.
you're
He
trying
did.
So
to
chat,
He
is he
see,
trying to say forget what
you
happened before that
yeah,
chat? Is that what he's
He
saying?
girl.
trolling. He
Yes,
No, that's not
trolling,
what I'm saying.
y'all.
Yeah.
because
I'm
again,
saying
when
that
I
you
read
can
the
make a
law,
request, and
the
she was.
law, the
Oh,
law
go ahead.
also has to prove. You also, according to Texas Penal Code 19.02,
Yeah.
that you have to prove intent.
Yes.
Right? He did not initiate the encounter. Austin did. And then, not only that, we don't know what Austin said, but what we do know is that Carmelo said to him twice, gave him two warnings. It's like doing a warning shot, right? Gave him two warnings. We don't know what Austin said in between that, but we also know that Austin made contact with his body twice.
Yeah, but
So
I would agree with you, but I'm
he
trying to
was
get you to.
actually the provocateur. He was also the initiator of the encounter. Carmelo was responding to the provocation.
Yeah, so I totally understand what you're saying. I'm trying to get you to deal with. So if the same warning, let's say, touch me and you'll see what happens, and then he's touched, right? And then he responds, bro, I told you, touch me and you're gonna see what happens. I totally agree with you. But he drew a distinction between touch and punch.
Samoa.
One's
So
a
now
more significant.
He's gotta beat him down with a
Just hold
battle
on, bro.
star.
Come
Hold on,
on, bro.
let's let him finish.
Come on, bro. So the reason why this is important is because these things aren't equal. A punch is a clear escalation, right? It's a way more significant justification. Now, if you were to just kind of just go through the little process here, you say at the first part, he realizes that reacting with a knife at this point would not be justified. So he restates a new line of what he believes would be justified. So if it was a touch versus a touch, you're absolutely right. But because himself is describing a distinction between a touch and a punch, he has a problem here because he is of sound mind, and you can see where you can see where his mind's at this point. And then
He's
asking the
responding to
question,
what
So you're
happened to
saying that
him,
he
sir.
provoked the escalation of the
impact of attack. So instead of tapping him,
Yeah,
he
it's
said,
like an
"Oh,
ambush.
push
Yeah.
me." Instead of pushing him, he then said, "Punch me." Like that's asinine, 100%.
No,
No,
so if you were to follow, like if you were to believe the witness, right? So when he's asked to get from underneath the tent, he responds by putting his hand in the bag, right? The witnesses say they don't believe that he had anything in the bag, but by him putting his hand in the bag,
Where did you
only
get that
he.
from?
Well, just let me just run this through, and then I'll provide the receipts. So
He
these are
responded by putting his hand in the bag. No, he made a statement
no,
after he was pushed.
no.
And shoved and punched, by the way,
Like
because
he
there's
didn't he
No,
didn't
what
just
the
say, "I'm gonna
hell?
put my hand in my bag." Putting his hand in his bag came after an action or actions
No,
against
no,
him.
no, no. Come
Yeah,
right
on.
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no one has
no.
said
Why are
that
you saying
Carmelo
no? Those are the facts. How are you
Hold
saying
on.
no?
Wait.
And let me
So
ask
Carmelo
you
did
a question.
not throw
Did the other
hands
guy
or
no,
attempt to
hold on.
fight
So
or
I just want to
fight
make sure this is
with
clear.
Austin.
Okay,
No
So
one
then you
has
guys,
stated that.
well, you guys are saying that after he requested that he get from
first of
underneath
all,
the
we're not
tent,
you guys. Don't put us all together.
my
Go ahead.
like my apologies for those who are like minded to this point. Are you saying that when the request was made, the request of you got to get from underneath this tent, this isn't your spot. The next thing that the witness says is not that he placed his hand in the bag and then said the words, "Put your hands on me and you'll see what happens."
Which
Did,
It,
witness statement?
did you
Because
see
there
the
are two.
interviews? Did you see the interviews?
I'm talking about the statements,
Did you see
the
the
independent
interviews that
corroborated
his
witness
brother?
statements.
No, no. Did you see the interviews that his brother gave? The twin that's living. Did you see those interviews?
Yes, the one with the yes, yes.
Okay,
But
so
I'm talking.
based on his account alone, his two different accounts, by the way,
Oh,
it,
come
it, it lets
on.
you know that what you're saying did not happen.
Why
That's
don't we just
crazy.
deal with the independent
No, no,
corroborated
let's
witness
go with
statements?
the twin brother who was there, who made two different statements as to the order of events that happened. Based on his comments alone, what you're saying does not make any sense.
All right. So do you
Based on what the
agree?
twin is saying.
Wait, do you agree that the witness statements is accurate to what I'm saying? The independent witness statements, the over
No,
30 witnesses that
no,
were interviewed, coaches and
no.
students.
Absolutely. Did you hear Mickey read witness statements?
She was wrong.
Hey, some more.
So
Hey, but
so
check
Yeah,
she's
what's
this
up,
reading
out.
from
bro?
a police report, but she's
Yeah,
wrong.
she
Yeah,
was
she's wrong.
reading the
Did he
state
say I was
report.
No,
wrong?
yeah,
Yes,
he said
she's
you was
wrong.
wrong.
I
You're
can
reading
tell
from
you
a
something else
police
she's wrong
report,
with as well.
but she ran from a
Oh,
police report, but she's wrong.
oh.
I
So the
put the link
police
in the
report is
chat.
wrong.
Yeah, I
So
put the link in the chat.
the police report that she read
That's fine.
from is wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that if you read the link that I put in the chat, it
No,
gives you
are
the
you saying
affidavits
that
of
the
what I'm saying.
police report, the
Come on,
actual
that ain't
police
that's not
report,
even
you're
important. Listen to what I
saying
just
that
said.
that's wrong?
I
So the
put
Just
the
police
link.
report
he
is
just
wrong.
said it.
The
He just
No,
said
accountability
it was
she's
officer is
wrong.
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 He
The other
just
person
said
wrong
she was
here.
wrong,
I
guys.
said she was wrong. I put the link in the chat before I started to speak,
Well,
just in
that's
case
what
But
I
this
was
know.
happened.
Yeah,
she
Chad.
wrong?
I know somebody said that Mickey was wrong, but Mickey read from a
We
police
know,
report.
but
A
No,
legit police
no,
I'm
report.
no.
trying to put the. I don't see the link that you put because I was gonna take it over there to Chatter, but I
It's
don't
not there,
see a link.
Chat. It's not there. I
Hold
don't
It's
know
Hey,
if
not
on.
you
It
see
is
it.
there.
there. Hold on.
No, I'm scrolling. I
hey,
don't see
hey,
it
some
yet.
more. Check this out, man. With what you just said. See, first,
Yeah, do your thing,
hold on.
boss.
Look, first of all, go back to exactly what they were just saying about the twin brother in his statement. First of all, the twin brother that's still living was the first one that said something to Carmelo. He was the first, and then his brother came in and stepped in and took was taken up for him. So that's what happened at first. First of all, the brother that's still living was the first one that said something to him, and then the brother stepped in. So I'm gonna go back to my question again. When it all comes down, let's hypothetically say the first brother said, the one that's still living, said, "Man, you got to get up out of this tent." And we can go back a little further because Naya said something and she never came back in here that everybody kind of overlooked. In the beginning of his statement, he said that him, his brother, and some of the coaches were walking around the track. So then that just think if there was a coach there, which comes out in the trial, but then coming back, then that's when the one that's still alive says something to Carmelo, and then there was whatever exchange with that. Then that's when his brother stepped in and stepped to him, and then that's when he said, "Man, you touched me." And then he got touched, and then he said, "Man, if you do something else, let's see what happens." And then that's when the other altercation took place, where he crossed that line that he had drawn. So I'm saying, in the trial, if but let's hypothetically say that both brothers, the first one that said something, and then the one that got stabbed, let's hypothetically say that they were jumping him, would that be then stand your ground?
Wait,
Well,
hold on. So you're saying the
I
brothers were
I don't.
together?
Oh, geez.
Yes.
They were together.
Wait, hold
Definitely
on.
together.
So all right, so then when the brother
The
says,
first brother that's still
I heard a
living was the
commotion,
first
I
one that
looked
said
up
something to him, man. And then the other brother stepped in to
And
wait,
protect his brother, because that's what
yeah,
he did.
let's
He
not
said,
go to the he was jumped part to make the point, because
right,
that
so
we
so
don't
if you
know
read
I
the
that.
just said
link that I
But
put in the
both
hypothetically.
chat,
both
I said
brothers, you can make
hypothetically.
the point without giving that hypothetical. Both brothers both made contact. Both addressed
Exactly.
Carmelo.
wait,
They both addressed
Exactly.
him.
all
Addressed
right, so
him.
so just real quick, because this would be contrary to what the brother said when he said, "I heard a commotion. I looked up. I did not see the stabbing. My brother was running down the bleachers towards me, and there was blood leaking out of his chest. I tried to cover the wound." Right.
Where
So
did that come from?
Yeah, like what does that have to?
Did you see the
That
X-ray
seems
he
like a
did
fake
when he entered the
report. I'm
game?
sorry.
no, that's what he said in his interview.
No, he's right. He's
No,
right. He's right. He's right. He's right. He's right. The
who
brother
is
told two
that?
different stories. He's
That's what
right.
Hunter said.
We know
He
the
told
brother
two
told
different
two
stories.
different stories.
Chat played both stories. What are y'all
Okay,
talking about?
okay.
All right, so
Should I
so I
come
put the
over
link in the
there?
chat that
Let me see if I can. I don't know. My computer up. 1 second,
Yeah,
y'all.
he shared an
and to
article that
something
is
that she said earlier
basically
about it being
from the
a
police
school district
report.
event. So in Texas, like specifically, there's this school property or school grounds extension to events and anything that's within the jurisdiction of like school business. So it doesn't actually have to be on school grounds for the laws to be passed through. It's called an extension of jurisdiction,
That's
and
not
that's
true.
practiced in
There's
Texas.
different
What
grounds
law? What
for
law are you
district areas versus school areas because each school can also dictate their own policies. That's not just of Texas, that's of any place. That is not true. That's not
Wait,
true.
what's not true?
That the school policies transition over to the district because each school can
No, that's not what I
implement
said.
their own laws. That is what you said.
No, that's not what I
Hey,
said.
hey, 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 Samoa, why are
Yo,
you always so invested in black people business,
Because
bro?
he's just here to argue.
hey
No,
man,
no,
can
no,
somebody
hold up. Let
interpret
me
this?
have this back and forth
Yeah,
with him real
yeah. Can
quick.
somebody interpret this accent? I'm not familiar with this. Can
Don't,
somebody
don't,
tell me
don't,
what he's
don't play
saying?
games, bro. Don't play games. You know what it is. I know you, right? Okay, I'm just gonna cut to the chase, right?
Hey, yo, real quick though,
But
what
this
Hey,
is
Sister
a
hey,
Jeff
bro.
said, I
diverse
didn't say.
room. This room is not about
N-
Samoa. So I
No,
All
no,
hope
right,
it's
cool.
not
you're
about
Appreciate it.
Samoa,
Thank you.
but he
having
likes
a
to center
conversation
himself,
about the
right?
topic.
And I think
Thank you.
it's important for the rest of the room, right? Like this guy,
Man,
he
brother, you want to take
uses
some
the
tea or something? Like, get
you
some
you
lemon.
you you use the N word profusely and regularly.
Yeah, cause I'm black.
Is that? Oh, you're black?
Yeah, I'm black as Samoan. What's the problem?
Now you black.
What? What the?
We are again. We're
Bro,
not making
what
this
is wrong with
about
this guy?
him. We're having a conversation about the case. So, do you have a point to make about the case?
He's talking to you, bro. Guess not.
I don't know if he do, but I'm really y'all just came up. But
No,
what?
pertaining to the case, I will reserve my judgment until the video comes out.
There you go. I was going the same place. We don't know what happened till someone comes up with some kind of footage. So all these
Yeah.
assumptions y'all making up, y'all can make up stories for the next 2 months until footage comes out. Because we don't know if he was jumped, we don't know if he was crowded, we don't know if he was roughed up by both brothers. We don't know if one brother started and the other brother finished. We don't know if he started pushing them first. We don't know nothing. So y'all can
Well,
argue all night.
1 second. My computer about to go dead, and I can't find my charger, so I want to play it before it goes down. Sorry.
But yeah, and I'm gonna say this because I'm in Texas and I know how these tracks and stadiums work. There's cameras at that stadium,
clean the dishes
so
together.
I don't know if they holding them for the trial,
You're
but
not
trust me,
I
here in
mean,
chat.
they
bro,
You're
got
it's
footage.
it's
talking
really
while
the
you're playing
tightest
the
I've ever
video.
seen in somebody like between two human beings. I mean, we did everything together.
clean the dishes together, do yard work together, sports. You name anything in the world, it's always us two and one thing. So you're always just basically one person.
You guys just a few minutes apart?
4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Austin was first by 4 minutes. He got stuck in me. So technically, your bigger brother.
Yes, ma'am. He does a lot of big brother stuff around. He's always at my back. Even if I'm in the wrong, he'll always take my side no matter what it is. So it's just really heartbreaking to see someone that cares for you that much and does everything even by your side no matter what, just pass away like that.
Mm-hmm. Your mom told me that you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you don't mind, what happened?
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I know.
Exactly.
Just that's just what I saw. And I tried to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone. He's had a really great year, and everyone on the team, coaches, everyone knew around the area
This is
just
the second interview.
things in football.
Again, both of us, and we'll see how far we get. When I read your story last night, obviously this is not about me. I have a 17-year-old son. I live 20 miles south of you. My son's in Frisco every night playing soccer, and we have a lot of friends who knew Austin. So the circles got tight, and this hit really close to home. And I'm just so sorry for you. Can you explain us at all today how you feel? It's just got to be so. The word I keep coming happened at that track meet. How could this thing that seems like is not on the menu of possibilities could happen? Again, I was at a track meet, by the way, on Tuesday. This is not something you think could ever happen. How did it happen?
So it was a really bad storm in the morning, and they had a lot of delays. And me, my brother, a couple of kids were walking back from the field house of the middle school because we attended that middle school when we went to middle school, and we were saying hello to old coaches and catching up with them. And then we're walking back to our stand. We put our tent up so all the bleachers were right there. We come back, we sit down, and this kid said something behind me. I've never met this kid in my entire life. I never knew who he was. Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for. And I turned around and asked him who he was. He started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always is when he's just brothers, just having my back. And things started getting more like higher intensity. And the kid said some like aggressive stuff, like reckless stuff. Austin tried to handle the problem, and
Austin was always one to step up. He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing, and he was doing this stuff.
Yeah. That he forgave this other young man. That he forgave.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, our relationship is really the tightest I've had.
I told you coaches were around. And the brother that's still alive approached him first, and then that's when the other brother stepped in. So that he was warning him after the first brother said something to him, and then when the other brother stepped to him, that's when it all escalated even more. And he said, "If you touch me, watch what happens." And that's when he grabbed his backpack. Just watch.
Yeah, so like in this account, the brother says that Carmelo said something that caught his attention. He turned around and said, "What did you say?" Carmelo said
The
something,
brother
whatever,
gives two
allegedly,
different
right?
accounts. It's two different interviews. He tells two different stories.
Well, these
Yeah.
are
So
so.
so so
Hold on, I
obviously
didn't think
there's
that
some
was two different stories.
inconsistencies there, right? How come he has two story?
No,
Even
hold
though
on, but hold on.
I'm
Why was that
reserving
two
my
different
judgment
stories?
until the video comes out, right? But how come he's being inconsistent, Samoa?
Hold on. What was inconsistent? What was not congruent about these two different stories? What was different? What was different about these two stories? One added a little bit more context as far as like the build up, right? But what was
Yeah, well,
inconsistent about the actual interaction?
first time around, he said, I never saw this guy before in my whole fucking life. Second version two, V2, then he said, yeah, we were kind of asking, who are you? Who is this guy?
And one thing,
Well,
Like
so
well,
there's so
well,
many
well that makes sense.
You guys just a few
so
minutes
many
apart.
4
inconsistencies.
minutes.
Wait, how is that inconsistent? I've never seen this guy before. And when we walked up to
Back
him, we asked him, "Who the hell are you?" I've never.
regardless of my side, no matter what. It's so
You do realize that they fought the
Yeah,
week before
listen
over
to
a
Chat
girl's
Y'all, one
sport?
second. I'm
GPT.
playing. I'm playing it again. Just one second.
like that.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you don't have to play
Your
that
mom told me that you were there.
It's heartbreaking to see someone that cares for you that much.
Listen to the part about the
Hey,
coaches.
okay. When y'all come off
That's
mic, we can't hear. We're on two different
yes,
platforms.
ma'am. If you don't mind, I no matter what, just pass away like that. Your mom told me that you were there. Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind, what happened? There was this kid. Before I knew his name, now this kid was sitting
Before I
under
knew his name now.
our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking.
Oh, it went dead. Okay. Let me find my charger.
Do appreciate it, but in both of these statements, I don't see no inconsistency. He said he didn't know this kid. Now he knows the kid's name, Carmelo, right? Right now, and he's speaking.
He says that he
No, he
tried to
switched it up. Where he switched it up.
Come
try to
on,
get
bro.
towards him. He didn't know who he was. The second story, he says the kid was talking to us. He was mad, aggressive. He was speaking, negatively. He has a whole full story about what happened.
No,
First,
in the
he
second
didn't.
one, he said, "Who are
No,
you?"
first he didn't know him, and he couldn't spin around fast enough to get to him, and what have you. Then the second story is that, oh, he was speaking to my brother really aggressively. He tells a whole totally different
No,
story.
that's wrong. That's way
Yeah.
wrong. In the second
No, it's
story,
not
this was
wrong. Wait
hold
till
on.
he
In
He,
the,
he
wait until
said
you
he
wait until you
said
let
in
me pull
both
it back up
stories
again.
that he didn't. He said in both
no,
stories that he didn't know Carmelo. He said that in both stories. The inconsistency that I heard, or one of them, is that one story they initiated the encounter. The second story, he said that the guy that Carmelo initiated, that Carmelo said something to him, and then his brother jumped in to have his back, and so one version they what's it call it
Are
what's
the
the guy's name?
aggressors?
Austin initiated the contact. The second story, Carmelo initiated the contact. Is that what y'all heard?
no, no.
Not you. I know you didn't. You wouldn't,
Hey,
even if you
hey,
heard it,
El
you wouldn't say it.
Normos.
Oh
Hey,
no,
El
I can
Normo.
actually read.
Stop
I
trolling,
can
brother.
actually tell you.
Rachel, is that what you heard?
I can tell
Exactly.
you
That's why I said
exactly
he
what he
told two
said.
different stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
Well,
you
can I
can,
tell you
El
why it's not two
Normo.
different? Come on, bro. Hold on. So
You're
this
not
is
my
the reason
brother.
why it's not two different stories. Chill out, bro. So in the first story, he's talking about how this guy's in the stands. They don't know who he is. They ask him to leave, right? So this is a little like broad, a little vague. In the second story, he has the build up where they're walking on the track, they're moving around. Then they get to underneath the tent, and then allegedly Carmelo says something inappropriate, which catches his attention. This is the brother. This is Hunter talking at this moment. And then he says that he says something back. He gets aggressive, super inappropriate. And then his brother Austin jumps in. And then that's in the second story.
That's
There's
not
nothing.
what he said. That is not what was said. He didn't even mention
What
walking on
the
the track
hell?
and all that stuff. He didn't mention any of that.
You
What was
didn't
he
just hear
saying?
him saying that they were at the middle
Oh yeah,
school?
hey some more, hey some more. You're correct. And then that second statement, in the first statement, he didn't say anything about the coaches. In the second
Right.
statement, but in the second statement, he said that him and some of the coaches were walking around the track, and then they said something to Carmelo because he was just sitting there out of the rain. He didn't have no reason to say nothing to them. He approached him
No,
and
that's when
told
they
him,
got back to the tent. They didn't even see him yet.
"Come on."
So in the link that I put in the chat, like the coaches are some of the witnesses that spoke to the police.
That's gonna be
It's,
trouble right there because them coaches should have de-escalated that, buddy.
No,
yeah,
y'all at a track meet. The coaches are not in the what? Who ran track? Who here
no,
ran
Nobody in
track?
chat.
no,
Did.
I
no. He's
ran
saying
track.
before the track meet, they were walking around the middle school, and there was
Who ran?
coaches.
Who ran track? Don't
I
act like
ran
you didn't hear
track.
my question. Okay, so your coaches were in the stands with you.
They
Yes.
were always
Yeah.
right there.
The
Yeah.
reason,
My
the reason
coaches,
why.
I don't know who. Hey, sir, you gotta breathe. Go get some water or something. You see, I'm trying to build right now, and you're
Yeah,
getting
you're right. You're
antsy.
right. You're right.
You're getting antsy. Hold your horses for me, real quick, Sugarfoot. The thing about it is, at track meets, my coaches were not in the stands with me. You had different heats, and I'm gonna have to explain this again. We were barely in the stands during track meets because if you remember during track, they're announcing the next race, always announcing the next race, right? So you got hurdles. I mean, you have your straight events or straight races. Then you got boys and girls. Then since it's a UIL meet or a district level meet, you're going to most likely have multiple heats, right? So you have maybe 7 kids or 8 kids, let's say, male and female, so 16 that are running one race, while the other 16 are preparing for the next race. And then you got field events going on as well. So you got long jump, triple jump, high jump, discus, javelin, and shot put going on. And then you have your relays in between those straight events. And then you have hurdles, multiple heats, both genders. Coaches have to help run these track meets. They all do it. We do, if we go to another school district, their coaches help run the track meets. Oh, and they're out there in the field helping their own athletes. They are not sitting in the stands. The action is on the field. If a coach was sitting in the stands at a track meet, that would be highly problematic. So what he should have done was either not even address the boy or went and got the coach and told the coach what happened. Now they weren't at the very bottom, but they were close enough to the bottom where a coach that was on the field or on the track could have seen or even heard what happened. But they were most likely not sitting in the stands.
Well, you also got to remember that the event was paused because of the rain.
And not only that and stuff, it just depends on how large the coaching team is. Because Chad is right. The main coaches will be on the field based on the races that are being run, throughout the field and what have you. But you do have coaches that are right there by the team that's on the inner part of the field. Chad, you know what I'm talking about? The
Right.
part that's right outside the track.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
That's
Middle
where they're
part.
sitting at.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So you have the tracks that are on the they're on the so you have the track and then you have the center part like where they play football at, for lack of better explaining and stuff. You have coaches that are out there and then you have coaches that are on the other side of the track closest to the team and what have you. That's checking things off. That's checking with teams. That's making you stretch, making you do X, Y, and Z. So it just depends on how large the team is and how large the coaching staff is and what roles they play to what their proximity is to their athletes.
I mean, because the dad didn't seem worried, right? The dad was talking about there was a lot of people there, right? And even in the witnesses, like how many they're saying, they said coaches, students, other staff. And because the event was paused, they're probably in large groups, just sitting around.
If it's raining, they are most likely under the bleachers, not under the tents. But
It wasn't raining.
some kids will. Huh?
It wasn't raining yet. The weather just looked bad, but the rain hadn't came just
the
yet.
the what's his name, Hunter said it rained before they got there, and then it started. One of the witness accounts said that it was drizzling and it started pouring down raining once what's his name ran away. That's when the rain picked up. That's what the officer said.
Officers lie too. Y'all gotta remember that too.
I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, I'm literally in the chat right now with people that are still making excuses for this boy when they clearly painted Carmelo as the aggressor, despite the video saying My brother was grabbing his backpack. Now, we are all adults, some of us older than others, some of us have children this age. We know damn well what was going down. This was not a, "Hey bro, let me get your backpack for you and help you away." This was aggressive. This was violating him. This was threatening, and it was happening very, very quickly. If it was raining, I'm pretty sure the adults were distracted. So, again, the fact that some people are still giving grace to who is clearly the aggressor, choosing to focus on the outcome as opposed to focusing on the why. Why did they have to approach him in that manner? If he was not supposed to be there, why would you not go? Because clearly he was in a uniform. It's a track meet. Why would you not go and get another coach or an adult and point him out and say, "Hey, that kid is not supposed to be here"? Why don't you go to his friend and say, "Hey, can you tell your friend they're not supposed to be here?" But the fact that these grown ass people are giving grace lets me know that a lot of you, that would have been your child, feeling entitled to tell another kid you don't need to be here, and then being aggressive about it, putting hands on him, shoving him, picking up his stuff, standing up to physically remove him from the space. But y'all would be the ones crying. He was a good kid. Why did he behave that way? He didn't deserve to die. Mm, you better have a talk with your kids. Because everybody is not going to stand down and give your child grace when your child is the one that's acting violent. Okay? Because some people are teaching their children to respond in kind and not to leave anything. My grandfather used to tell me when I first started having a weapon and I was young, under 10, he said, "Baby girl, let me tell you something." He said, "When you cock that gun and you prepare to shoot somebody, you better take them out, because otherwise you're just going to piss somebody off by shooting them in the knee." So, gang, gang, welcome to Texas.
She talking about gang gang. Exactly. Yeah, and I thought the boy
Shelby,
was.
teach your kids to keep their hands to themselves. That's all I'm saying. Teach your children to keep their hands to themselves.
And
Period.
that's what I've been in here saying. And I thought they said that Austin was grabbing Carmelo's bag because y'all been saying that Carmelo grabbed his own bag. Like, no, Austin grabbed Carmelo's bag. Who told you to forcibly remove people out of this tent? Who gave you that duty?
That's right.
Yeah, like you a child, bro. I don't know about all of this, man. It's just certain things I want to do as a child, and then I get jazzy with people. Yeah, like that's just what kids do. But forcibly put my hand on kids, like I can do that. That's just something that I did not do. I understood that that wasn't okay. And at 17 years old, Austin understood that too. This is just a behavior that he's used to exhibiting. He thought it was normal. That's really what's going on. Like, and that's no different from any white child. Like they think certain things are normal because they've been used to getting away with it because their parents, their teacher, their coaches in this instance are turning blind eyes to these behaviors, and that's the problem.
Not some white people. I can't agree with that. Some. The Louisiana white people and Texas white people is two different kind of white people. That's what people don't understand.
Right.
There's two different
But that
kinds.
don't mean they don't exhibit some certain type of
No, what I'm
entitlement,
saying is,
privilege in certain
it's a
instances.
fact. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Right.
It's a
So
fact.
that's
You're
what I'm
right.
saying. I'm not saying all of them will just put their hands on you, but all of them will do things that reminds you that y'all are growing up in two different societies. The way you're being raised is not how they're being raised. Like that's kind of universal. Like white people are not like
Well,
they're
I,
they're the same. type. Of, of people. people. let's not put a blanket statement on white people or black people. Let's
yeah.
talk to the incident and not
Yeah,
make blanket
yeah.
statements. I mean, I feel
That's a
like
fact.
this just rings true. A white man got on stage. I was in another room the other day, and he said like I was bullied. Well, he didn't say he was bullied. He said that basically like his friends' older brothers used to bully them, but he didn't say that. He was like they were just kidding. They used to stuff us in trash cans, and in return we can come to the party. This is their behavior. We see it in movies. We see it in TV shows. I would not want anyone to think that I'm the same as you or another black woman. I'm Christy.
Right. But we also don't have a certain type
So,
of privilege that white people do, and that certain
well,
white
no,
people are
I
able
get
to.
white
Right. So
privilege,
while I'm
but
not
when
saying
we
that all
start,
white people are violent, I'm saying that all of them do exude a certain type of
not
privilege
all of
that we.
them.
Sure. Because some of
Yeah,
them
not all
understand
of
that
them.
privilege. Some of them are
Right.
self-aware, right? But on a majority scale, they're not. Even if they are aware of their privilege, they don't care to change it because they are privileged. They don't have to change. Like they don't have to. That's why black men and black women are sitting in rooms making it seem like this black boy is the aggressor because they can't even fathom the thought of white people not acting in their privilege and doing something they don't have no fucking business doing. They can just focus on the black boy and him doing some shit he didn't have no business fucking doing. Like he didn't have no business over there in that tent. He didn't have no business carrying no night. Like however it go, that's how black people are looking at it. And instead of coming out of that, they can't look at the situation for what it is and call it for what it is. This little boy was acting in his privilege. That's just what it is. That's just what, and he's not doing anything no different than any other white person in America. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it always ends up this violent or begins as violent. But this is not no different than white people exuding their privilege. This happens. This is what it is.
They also stated that someone, it was some official or something, had checked the knife before he on a track, and they was going to use it to clean his cleats out, and gave the knife back to him before any of this even happened. But I'm just saying, if you look at those two brothers against him, I'm just on a hypothetical situation. Is that standing your ground? If that was the case, I think it will be. One brother is not going to watch the other one get beat up, and Hunter was the one that confronted him first. That's why his brother came up and took up for him.
Yeah, that's why I asked where the adults were. They're like, why are we asking for the adults? Because adults matter in this environment. This was a school and this was a school setting. This was a extracurricular setting. Where are the
No,
adults? Where are the
yeah, but
parents?
absolutely, but from what I understand, and I'm completely new to this, I'm not, going against you, I'm not coming at you in any way, is, from what the way that chat sets it up and she explains to us, it's to me, it sounds like there's a bunch of kids popping around everywhere. There's tent to tent to tent, it's raining. This kid might go under that tent, or, to me, it didn't seem so offensive. And that, actually, that could be my question to chat, like, is it that offensive that he went under their tent?
No, it's not. Like I said, the track meets are. Let me turn my volume down. Track meets are very fluid situations. Um, people have their favorite races that they watch. So typically, it's like the open 100, the 4x1, 4x2. People sometimes watch high jump, triple jump, but they would have to go on the field to do that. And then if you miss your race or miss your event, your field event, your team loses points because how you win a track meet is by the races that you finish or where you finish in the races. So the top six, right? You get certain amount of points. That's for every race and field events. So your coaches are on the field looking for relay, looking for the people that are running relays. Then you got people that are stretching. You got your trainers out there. You have people that are um, getting their blocks together, right? Stepping and measuring their blocks at the starting line. You got that going on. Then you also have people, kids that come, whoever's is a whole school, that come out and put out hurdles for the hurdle races. And so you got the coaches that are holding stopwatches, or they have the gun at the starting line, or they are, conversing with their team. Everything happens in that field. Nothing happens in those bleachers. So it's a very fluid situation. Yes, they may sit there. Most likely, The people that are sitting there are your football players that are just doing track because their coach told them to, and they're typically just doing a field event or two, which is what the Hunters or Austin, the Metcalves were doing. They only had field events, so they had a lot of idle time to sit in the bleachers. But for the most part, it's very fluid.
Hey, Chad, if you get a chance,
Would you
play that second
approximate?
interview.
I'm sorry. Would you approximate what 150 people, 200 people? How many people?
You can,
300?
that's something that you can't approach because this is Texas. Texas is big, so you
No,
can't
no,
get that
no.
number.
I'm asking Chat because she's been there.
Yeah,
I don't know
But
what
no,
number.
this her track meet and this track meet are two different track meets. That's why you can't compare these two.
well,
Mm,
I'm in
Yeah,
I'm in Texas,
so I'm
and
saying
that
when you was running track, what year was this?
no, I'm genuinely asking. I'm a hairdresser.
when
No, I'm saying
when you're in track, what did you see? And what year did you run?
no. What I'm saying things have changed from
Because
if
it
you
wasn't
were
just about me running track. I also assisted. I ran in track Houston and coached in at track Houston. So
no, no. I'm not. I'm
it's
not. I'm
so
not. I'm not.
actually
I'm not
putting.
disagreeing with that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
telling you, you do know things have changed since we have ran track. Is what I'm
What
saying.
part did you not hear that I coached for Track Houston or used to coach for Track Houston? This was 6 years ago.
Chad, but not only that, this is
That's what I'm
Texas.
saying.
Track has
Have you
always
heard
been
of Track
huge and a
Houston?
major
6 years.
deal. The
I'm in
Texas,
Houston, Texas, born and
All right,
raised,
so
35
track
years.
Houston,
Texas
and they
relays.
both
I know
like
exactly
Rachel
what
was
track
saying,
Houston is. I know what
they're
that
a
is.
5A school. I believe an
I
11.
know what that
The
is.
school that I went to was a 21 5A, right? It was also a district meet. So that school district has 11 schools within that school district. Only 9 of those schools showed or participated in that district level meet. So you're looking. I don't know if you've ever been to Texas relays. I would
I'm
say it's
in Houston, Texas. I'm
okay.
36
Never
years
mind.
old, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Y'all got to
But
stop being so
Texas track
defensive
and
of an
field has
argument.
always been just as
I'm not
huge as
being
football.
defensive. You're interrupting what
Okay.
while I was asked a question, you're interrupting me. How am I being defensive?
No, I just don't want the narrative to get taken away from your track to your track meeting and how this track meet was ran. That's too. Some track meets not even ran on weekdays. Some are ran only on
Right.
weekends. You
This
understand what
is
I'm
a district level
saying?
meet.
Exactly.
To
So
kind of to kind
when you say how
of
many people was there, 9 times out of 10 it wasn't that many people because it was a morning track
That's
meet
not true.
during the week.
That not for
Oh
Texas.
my
That's not
god.
true.
No, what I'm listen to what I'm saying before you jump out. What I'm saying is the audience in the stands on the weekend will be way bigger than the weekday. Is all I'm saying.
But that's not true.
So
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
you
That's all I'm
lady
saying.
to say before you jump off. You have to be.
as far
Nah,
What
as
you
far as
say,
how many.
Cher?
I'm just here for conversation. I'm not here for confrontation.
I know, but this is like the chill out hour. I mean, it's 0 o'clock in the morning. This is the chill out hour. We can discuss things absolutely, but let's
I
let's
just
chill
don't
out.
So
want
did I
people to
answer
try
your
to.
question, Cher?
It depends on how many people, how many teams were at the track
There
meet
you
to how many
go.
people
There
were
you
there.
go. See, a lot of
Yes,
variables
yes, we
go
did.
into these things.
I literally said out of the 11 schools in the district, 9 of those schools. See, if you didn't interrupt me 11 times, you would have heard that. That out of the 11 schools, there were 9 that showed up. It was a UIL meet, which is why it started at 10 a.m. It started during the day. You typically don't have 9 schools and a regular track meet a regular scheduled track meet. A district meet is going to be your larger meets. It'll be in between a Texas relays and your regular normal track meet, which most likely has about 5 or 6 teams in it because you'll be out there all day. Plus, you got boys and you got girls. Then you have shoot the different heats. I said that you have boys, you have girls. You have field events, running events, um, and then on top of that, it's raining. So also the coaches have to assess if there's lightning because the bleachers are metal. So I know there were some track meets where we had to decide whether to end the track meet, postpone it, or to end it in inclement weather. It's one thing if it's raining, it's another thing if it's thunder, if there's lightning because of the bleachers. So there are a lot of factors to decide. Now, according to one of the witness statements, the track meet was paused because of the rain, because it was drizzling. So they had paused on running those events or those races. I'm sorry, because of the weather. But hopefully that answered your question.
No,
But
it
Chad, let me ask you
absolutely
this:
did.
at your track meets, Chad, aside having everyone that needed to be there because they were participating or supporting the participants, did you not also have just regular people that's just so into track and field that they showed up as well? I mean, Texas track is almost just as religiosity as football is. Like people literally showed up.
Nah,
People literally would show up who basically had nothing to do with the teams that were there or the people that was there, but they follow them.
I mean, I'm obviously not from that area, but I can see that. You know what I mean? I'm a lover of sports. I'm a lover of competition, so I totally get it. My dad always took me to Penn relays, on the trips, and I get it.
With 9 teams, there was easily 100 or better people there.
Yeah, and I can see,
Easily.
that confrontation kind of getting lost in the sauce, that nobody's really paying attention because, again, how, sorry, I have terrible allergies. Again, how chat describes it, there's a bunch of kids just popping around everywhere from here to there, stretching, getting ready for the next competition. It's I mean, I could see how there may not have been eyes on every word of the confrontation.
Uh, how okay? How many adults are usually coaches of a team?
I wish
Two,
I wish
right?
I
Usually.
wish I knew.
No, right, right, right. Two is usually a coach, an assistant coach. Like it's usually that.
nowadays they got
No,
they have
No,
football coaches. They go to track meet and they have all type of coaches.
it's
You
all
never know.
type of
yeah.
adults,
You
But
bro.
I
never
ran
know.
so this is when I ran we had you have different coaches. So you got your field event coaches. So you got your jumpers, your long jump, your triple jump. You got a coach for that. You got a coach for high jump. You got a coach
Right.
for shot put, discus, and javelin. You have a coach that coaches your hurdlers. You have a coach that coaches your sprinters. You have a relays
Hmm.
coach. Then you got the head coach and the assistant coach, and then you got trainers.
So
So your trainers are typically
it
students,
sounds like a
though.
lot of adults are privy to these things and are in the function, like for real. It does. So I don't see why adults eyes. I don't see why they went around and attentive to what the hell was going on. Because first of all, you ain't there to just mingle.
If Chad plays their second interview, Hunter says that they were walking around the track with the coaches.
So it's like, where were y'all antennas when things were getting heated under this tent? If people are under the tent, then where were the adults?
Some of
Like
them were
I
I
don't
working.
think
understand that.
I
Like we
think
can't
the
keep giving
part
them
that
no
y'all
excuses.
are missing.
I would be suing them about my fucking child.
I
I
don't.
would
I
be
think
suing the school about my child.
I don't think people were just in the stands paying attention to every. You got to remember on the video that people that's going around, the sky was black. So 9 times out of 10, most of the people had already left the stands. Probably with just athletes and a few coaches in the stand, and a few faithful parent that want to watch their child. A lot of people was already evacuating the stand because the weather was already scheduled to be bad. The sky was black on the video. So for we gotta kind of give a little. ease up off of people was around because sports events and with if it's not nothing over your head, 9 times out of 10 people going under where the concession stand at to the weather clear up. They're not sitting in the bleachers getting rain unless you have a tent. And 9 times out of 10, if you do got a tent, the wind is blowing it and you gonna get from up under the tent anyway.
But okay, so if everybody packing up and leaving because the weather bad, that's even more reason to like gather your student, your teams together. So if because they said that Carmelo, I read in an article from some doggone news site that Carmelo he also ran track. So if he wasn't on that team, he shouldn't have been under that tent. And an adult should have told him that, like, hey, go find your team. We finna head out of here.
Not to be fair, Carmelo knows where Memorial High School is not far from where he go to school and live at. So he know the tent is black and yellow, they colors, and Memorial is a powerhouse football. He know Memorial School. He know what tent he was sitting under. Now whether somebody told him he could sit under there, or he thought because wasn't nobody under there he could sit under there. But he kind of knew what he was doing when he sat under the tent because he easily could have ran under the bleachers to the concession stand area where everybody else was going. You feel what I'm saying?
So one
Yeah,
of his
So
friends was
I'm
on the
not putting no
opposing
blame on
team.
him.
One of the same friends that was interviewed in that police report.
I'm sorry,
Right,
say
but
it
what I
again,
have to
boo.
say is, as a booster mom, sometimes you do have volunteers, as Chad said, that the coach are not up there. Like, I gave
Yep.
this example before. Like, if I'm a booster mom for Westbury, right, and another kid comes under our tent and we're handing out water and snacks, as a mom, I'm not going to turn away that kid unless it's like 30 of a kid from another school versus the 50 from my school and we don't have enough snacks, right? So what I'm saying is that we don't know if Carmelo's school had a tent. What if they only had two athletes and there wasn't a booster there? So it's not unusual for the coaches to, like for there to be volunteer, like, okay, go to I'm using Houston names, go to Bel Air if you guys, get a scratch and you need, medical help, right? The Bel Air students can go under there and the parents, but this is also going to be for Bel Air boosters and if you need the medic, right? Um, go to Madison if you need, I don't know, if you need to lie down or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that unusual that those canopies could have been repurposed for other things because those are usually boosters, right? Volunteers, those are parents, but it's not like you see a bunch of kids cuz remember, if the twins weren't competing, why were they there? That's my thing cuz Carmelo, we know that Carmelo was competing. If the twins weren't competing, why were they there? Because it was a school day, right? It's 10 o'clock. So, and this happened fairly early. So that's all I wanted to say, right? We don't know if somebody was like, oh, yeah, baby, just go, just go sit under there until it stops raining or whatever.
huh?
They're not that
Huh?
stringent like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I think you got to take
didn't,
into
they
consideration
didn't
that
strip
these
away
are
other
young
kids
athletes.
like that. And plus, these are juniors, so they were given a little bit more autonomy than, let's just say, like freshmen, right? They're supposed to know how to conduct
Oh no,
themselves.
for
They're
sure,
juniors.
for sure. Some of them driving to the track meet on their own. And like if you notice, the hunters' parents wasn't at the track meet with them. Some of these guys are jocks, meaning they're high school athletes that thinking they're grown into grown men. So the whole booster mom and snack factor, I understand what you're saying, but at these type of high school track meets, some of these guys are there on their own, and they think they're grown men. So that's probably why he felt like he was running something, because it really probably wasn't no other adult around at the time. You feel what I'm saying? So he felt like he could just rough the dude up and tell him to move when he really honestly was wrong. He could have just said, hey, if you ain't gonna move, I'm gonna go get somebody to move you, bro.
Right, just
You
like in the
understand what I'm saying?
movies. Do you confront people in the movies like, "Hey, you're in my seat." This happens all the time at concerts because people will just sit. And guess what? If the people don't want to move, you don't put hands on them because then they're gonna throw you out too. You go get an attendant and be like, "Yo, they're sitting in my seat." That's literally that's what I'm saying. So everyone is like, Carmelo should have did this, Carmelo should have did that. No, they should have done it. Like, yo, I tried to ask this dude nicely to move. He didn't want
No,
to
it's
move.
that's you're right.
So,
You're right.
hey, he
Sure.
shouldn't be here. Although I can't fathom why he wouldn't have been able to be there. You know what I'm saying? So, anywho, but yeah, everyone is putting it on Carmelo to have responded. No, Carmelo was just sitting under there under the rain. He was a student athlete.
And the fact that this is on some bleachers, what seat? Babe, you don't own, like, what do you, like, that's why the entitlement, like, this doesn't
Well,
make any doggone
to
sense.
be fair, this is what we got to be fair at, people. The bleachers are big. That's the colors are on. Like I say, I'm not taking up for neither side, but we also have to understand. It's also like when you at a basketball game and you playing JV and varsity, and your varsity team playing, but the JV team sitting in the bleachers. You can go sit where the JV. You're not gonna go sit where the other team sitting at. So you really kind of. I'm not saying he was looking for trouble, but I think he kind of knew what was what could have happened by him sitting right there. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
don't know. I don't because the only games that I know of that it's kind of hard to go sit on the other side on the other is football games, and that's just because how our stadiums are made in Atlanta. Like you have to literally walk out the stadium, go around to the other side. Like it's just it's too much. Like
When you
nobody's
look at the
doing that. But
video,
at games like basketball games and stuff, you can who. That should not be a. These are children. That shouldn't even be a thing. I should be able to sit wherever. Like I said, that they were saying on Clubhouse the other day that he was there waiting for a friend. So it's like, who are you as a child to tell another child where they're not supposed to be and where they're supposed to be? He should have went to go get an adult if it was all like that. And I agree with the person who was just speaking before, because I didn't know that Carmelo ran track. So I was trying to figure out why he was there at 10 in the morning. Whole time he
9 times
runs
out of
track, he was
10,
supposed to be there.
yeah.
Why were those two boys there? But y'all said they ran track too. But my
If
thing
you play
is
football in high school, 9 times out of 10 you run track. That's just how they go.
right, I know you run track on your off season. Same for basketball players.
Same
What
thing
I'm
for
saying
basketball.
is why are y'all acting like y'all are some authoritative figures? Y'all are children. That's the
No,
problem.
you got to be fair to the hunters too.
I don't have to be
There's,
fair to them.
there's
I'm looking at the
no. What
situation
I'm saying, no.
unbiasedly.
Take no. I'm saying take names and whatever. Just say if your daughter had cheerleading competition, if you have the daughter, and y'all got a tent with y'all logo on it, y'all school logo on it, and the school that y'all competition with, the dancing dolls or whatever over there, one of they kids come over there and start under y'all tent. You gonna say, hey man, y'all supposed to be under the tent. Y'all you're not gonna say it now.
If
But
my
we know
daughter if my
you
daughter
gonna say
come
y'all
on
gotta
talking
get from under
about
this tent.
if my daughter leave from an event that she was at off some extracurricular stuff that I got her in that I pay for that she ain't put a dime into, talking about she done got into a fight or altercation with some girl that was under her tent that she didn't pay for, it's gonna be a problem with her ass. Cause
And
you
that's
was
the
a
problem.
child. Period. What the hell you mean? You told this little girl. Why you tell her that? Oh, because who told you to do that? So if she would have stabbed you, then what? Yeah, that's the type of conversation I'm gonna have with my goddamn child. Cause you gotta hold kids accountable. They're not these aren't 10-year-old little boys. These are 17-year-old young men, and they know better. They know better than what how they acted. You know you're not supposed to be approaching no other. Why they ain't approach nobody else? I'm sure Carmelo wasn't the only person that didn't run for that school that was under that doggone tent. And if he was, so fucking what? What gave
Actually,
you the
see, that's
impression
what you
that you
gotta
should have
be
approached
fair. You
him?
can't say so
I
fucking what.
can
We gotta
so
be
say so
fair.
fucking what because what
Nah,
gave you the
that's not
impression
right.
that he was the one to walk up on and oppress any type of issue with him?
No,
That's
Why
not
did
right.
you do
Cause if the
that?
roles were reversed, we gotta be fair, y'all. We
No,
come
no,
ain't
on,
but the
man.
he
roles
got
not reversed though.
Gotta
he
be
got
fair.
racially
The
spoke
roles not
about. Did
reversed, so
y'all
we
hear
ain't
the
gonna
twin
reverse it.
brother talking with his mama and what he said? He said when he seen the dude, he see the little twin brother, he talking too much at this point, right? And he messing his brother case up by saying, we was on him because we didn't know if he was like we was supposed to protect our bag. So now you stereotyped him. Like that's a stereotype. You thought he was gonna steal.
Oh, for
You know what
sure,
I'm saying? Like you said you seen him, you never seen him before, and
for
you
sure.
asked him like, who are you? You know what I'm
But
saying? Like
race ain't
you
the
ain't
issue.
supposed to be doing that. You dig what I'm saying? The brother that's alive said he's the one said something to him first, and then his brother the one that got stabbed. So that already indicates y'all was both on him. Like you know what I'm saying? Like y'all shouldn't have approached that dude, bro. And this is what's killing me, the fact that black people, like it's blowing me to hear it. Black men, specifically because majority of the black women been riding with him. But a lot of black men, bro, it's like y'all doubting him and oh, he's up out of here and no, that little dude ain't in the wrong in no shape, form, or fashion. If y'all walk up on him and he, hey man, whatever, however y'all, hey man, watch up, get up off me, and y'all get to playing with him after that, he ain't gotta sock you back. However he feel he need to defend himself, he can defend himself, bro. My homegirl stabbed her dude in the neck with some scissors, bro, because she was getting her ass whooped. She didn't think about it. She just stabbed him. She didn't do not one day in jail. The shit
Mm.
happens like that, bro. You can't be just walking up on people, putting your hands on people, bro. It don't work like that.
That's what's gonna help him. If they got videos showing that both of them approached him and attacked him,
The
he gonna beat their
brother
case.
said it. The brother said it out his
He'll beat
mouth.
them. That's what'll help him right there. But
Even if
that
they don't
video
got
footage,
video, the brother said it out his mouth on the news.
Yeah, it don't
Exactly.
make sense. And I didn't know they thought he was
Well,
gonna
all
steal.
right, guys. We over here on CH. We thank y'all for joining us in debate the news. Okay, thank y'all so much. I'm surprised the podcast isn't up top. But I'm about to close this room down, but we are still on Chatter. I did put an invite, my invite in the chat. So copy and paste that, put that in your notepad somewhere. And make sure you download the Chatter app first and then click that invite link and it'll let you into Chatter and come join us on Debate the News on Chatter, and also make sure you download and you subscribe to our podcast. We are on all of your podcast platforms, so make sure that you give us a listen. And we will continue to do Debate the News every night around 8:30, 9 o'clock when the podcast goes live. And we simulcast on 3 different platforms on Chatter, where there is video and polls and all the things. And we broadcast on X as well as CH. So I'm giving y'all a moment to get an invite before I shut the room down in 3, 2, and 1. Thank y'all. Love y'all. Good night.